Thanks for joining us today on Court Reports. I'm Hans Fogle along with Don Aines of the Herald-Mail, and we're going to take a look at what's happening in the legal system in and around Washington County. And I think starting off around Washington County as we head to West Virginia.
Yes, Jefferson County loses a sheriff, and city of Hagerstown gains a police chief.
Busy
under
week.
widely different circumstances. Former Jefferson County Sheriff Robert E. Bobby Shirley, he had resigned last week, and in Monday he was in U.S. Federal District Court to plead guilty to violating the civil rights of a bank robber back in December 2010. And the allegation was that he had, Shirley, he's 61, he faces up to 10 years in prison on this charge and a fine of up to $250,000. Back in December 2010, there was a pursuit of a suspected bank robber, and once they caught up to him, there was evidence caught on a dash cam of one of the police cruisers that Shirley stomped, kicked, assaulted the man in the course of the arrest. Mark Daniel Haynes, he was the suspected bank robber. He is actually serving right now 19 years for bank robbery.
There was evidence that there may have been a similar instance of this previously, and even accusations of perhaps some other. Essentially, it just came down to, I think, a decision of get this done, and that managed to have a charge of falsifying documents thrown out, which saved him probably a larger sentence.
Yes, that was apparently falsified, what's called a use of force report, with the intent to obstruct the federal investigation into this incident. And apparently Mr. Haynes suffered scrapes, bruises on his face and back during the beating, hemorrhage to his right eye, broken nose, rib, and eye socket. So he was pretty well bungled up there in the incident. Again, police cruisers now routinely have dash cameras, and it's there for the protection of the police as well as the protection of suspects in criminal cases. It's
right. And if you can't tell from the footage that we've seen today, Haynes was handcuffed at the time, so this was not a matter, as perhaps had been discussed early on in the case.
He wasn't struggling.
Exactly. There was no opportunity for him to fight back. The Jefferson County Commission appointed Jesse Jones, who was basically the chief deputy to Sheriff Shirley and several previous sheriffs, to handle the administrative role of sheriff in Jefferson County until they can appoint a new sheriff. Now, the other sort of fascinating aspect of this is Bobby Shirley was just reelected to another 4-year term in November.
And that came after the indictment.
Yeah. The video had been out there and everything else, but the people spoke. Now as I understand it, Mr. Jones will fill in until they appoint somebody who will fill the remaining 2 years of Sheriff Shirley's term. So in 2014, the people of Jefferson County will elect someone to serve 2 years of Sheriff Shirley's term, and then there'll be an election for a 4-year sheriff.
And by the way, even after the criminal aspects of this case for former Sheriff Shirley are resolved, civil suit by Haynes has been filed.
That's going to be a whole other matter, I imagine, for court reports at another time. But we'll let you know, obviously, what happens.
Civil suits take years to wend their way through, though.
Yeah. That's gonna. I think he'll probably be sentenced and possibly even finished with his sentence by the time
that could well be.
It's settled. We mentioned good news as well. A new police chief for the city of Hagerstown.
Yes, Mark Holtzman. He was Captain Mark Holtzman. He's been the acting chief since Arthur Smith retired last year. He's been the acting chief since September. And he is, the city council and mayor have given him the nod to be the new police chief. That happened at a council meeting Tuesday. He's been on the force more than 20 years. I think he graduated from the Hagerstown Police Department's Academy in 1992. And he's a relatively young man, in his early 40s, I believe. So Arthur Smith was there and served quite well for a long time, and Mr. Captain Holtzman, now soon to be Chief Holtzman as of January 22nd, should hopefully be an able replacement.
Anyone would like to see that swearing-in ceremony, I believe it's going to be during the city council meeting.
And last,
No, I was going to go ahead and segue into another West Virginia
well,
case.
Last week, back to West Virginia, this time in Berkeley County. Last week we had told you about a trial of Jonathan Frederick Bennett, who was on trial for it was a 2010 murder, March 2011, excuse me, murder of Geronimo Garcia Cruz, 26-year-old Winchester, Virginia man. Mr. Bennett himself is from Charlottesville, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, this incident took place in Berkeley County near Martinsburg in an apartment complex. A woman, a dancer at a local club, Miss Carpena, Ashley Carpena, brought Mr. Cruz and Garcia Cruz and several other men back to an apartment, and apparently she was to have sexual relations with one of the men in exchange for money. At some point, this turned into a dispute with those gentlemen and Mr. Bennett, allegedly. At any rate, Mr. Garcia Cruz ended up shot. His body was found in a stairwell of this apartment complex. Went to trial last week, and today we just learned that the judge in that case was told that the jury is divided. After more than 6 hours of deliberation, the judge, Christopher Wilkes, instructed jurors to give it another good effort of discussion before sending the group back to the jury room. So it may be another day or so before we find out the outcome of that particular case.
And of course, once you want to hear the full details, all you have to do is turn to the pages of the Herald-Mail or visit us online at herald-mail.com, and you'll find out all about what happens to Mr. Bennett, and of course, if the jury comes to a decision, because it has happened before where they certainly don't.
I've seen more than one deadlocked jury over my time. I got one other case here, a Shamar Tahi Anderson. This is in Washington County Circuit Court. He drew a 20-year state prison sentence Thursday, and that was for the distribution of cocaine. The thing here is Mr. Anderson, charged in August as part of a county narcotics task force operation. It was his fourth felony drug conviction. He'd had 2 previous ones in Maryland and 1 in New York, and he'll have to serve at least 10 years before he can be eligible for parole. And as the judge, Dana Moylan Wright, informed him today in court.
Well, there you have it on Court Reports. For Don Aines, I'm Hans Fogle. Don, always a pleasure.
Good to be here, Hans. Good to see you again.
And good to have all of you here. Thanks very much.